production, productivity, and efficiency. In the previous class, we talked about job production, which is a method of production that allows a business to produce one product at a time. So you produce one before the next one. That is job production. The next production method is batch production. For batch production, it simply means you are producing units. That means the demand for your goods are increasing. So you can no longer use job production. You start thinking about using batch production. Example of a batch production is you producing a black marker, like countless of black markers. After that, you start producing the red markers, the blue markers, and the rest. That is batch production. Do we get batch production here? It's a production method that involves producing units before you start thinking about the next unit, not just a one-off demand. That means you are producing large quantities of same product at a time. Large quantities of the same product at a time. That is batch production. Do we get batch production here?
Yes.
Great. So what are the advantages of batch production? One, specialization. So because it's about producing specific products at a time, it means you need people who know how to produce such products. And that brings about specialization. And when there's specialization, it brings about efficiency. So the first advantage I wrote is specialization. As workers are likely to produce goods they are good at. So you're going to employ workers that know how to do that job. It's just like a bakery. You get some bakers, they produce different kind of breads, yes or no? So those bakers that you employ, they are specialists. So you're employing them because they know how to bake that bread. So that is specialization. So the advantage here about specialization is that it brings about efficiency. Do we understand the first point here? The second one, lower unit cost. As output is expected to be higher than job production. In job production, you are producing for a customer. You are producing for a certain customer. So which means output is expected to be low. But with batch production, it's expected to be a large quantity. So if it is in large quantity, you should be having a reduced average cost of production. So the second advantage about using batch production method is that it allows a firm to produce on a larger scale, which brings about reduction in the average cost of production. Do we understand the second point here? Do we understand or not, please? For job production, you are producing for a specific customer, so which means you use little amount of raw materials. But for batch production, if you have to produce markers like this, maybe you need to produce 1,000 markers of black markers. It means you need large quantities of raw materials for this. Then as soon as you're done with that, you need to produce the red markers, the blue markers, and the rest. So this makes you to operate on a larger scale. Because you're operating on a larger scale, then your unit cost is expected to reduce, because you'll be able to spread the cost across each product that is being produced. Do we get it or not? Do we understand or not, please? Okay. The third one, flexibility. As batch production allows different demand to be made at any point in time. Because it's a batch production method, it means if you have certain customers that need black markers, you can as well tell them the time they're going to get the black markers. Some customers will need red markers. You'll be able to tell them the time they're going to get it. Some customers might need blue markers. You'll be able to tell them the time they need it. Unlike a job production where you have to produce one and you have to finish up with one job before another. So that one will take time. So it means you won't be flexible with your timing. So you won't be flexible with your timing. Do you get the point I'm making here? Job production does not bring about flexibility, because you have to finish one job before another. But for batch production, because you are producing large quantities, so it means you would literally have customers that need black markers at the same time, customers that need blue markers at the same time. That is why it is flexible. Do we understand flexibility here? You'll be able to meet up with the demands of customers at any point in time. But job production is not like that, because job production, the lead time is always higher, based on the fact that it is craft. You don't use equipment. And if you have to use equipment, the equipment is so expensive, which might not allow you to buy it. So the lead time for job production is always higher compared to job batch production, where you have equipment available and you can produce large quantities. Do you understand flexibility here? Flexibility is all about how soon you are able to deliver to your customers. That is flexibility. Do we get it? Do we get it or not, please?
Yes.
And the last one, efficiency. Because it involves the use of machines and specialists, it is expected that whatever output you produce is efficient. Efficiency comes when you have specialist workers. Efficiency comes when you use a lot of technology or equipment, machinery. They're not like human. Human can get tired, but equipment, they work as long as possible. Do we understand the efficiency here? Because you use equipment, it is expected that your average cost of production would fall. Your cost of production would reduce because equipment will not make mistakes. Machines will not make mistakes. Machines will not get tired. Do we understand efficiency here? So these are the advantages of batch production. Then what are the setbacks using batch production method? The first one, complex machines might be needed. You need to produce black markers, red markers, and blue markers. You might need a machine that can do such, that can work for the three at the same time. So that means you need a complex machine, not just a machine that will produce just black markers. You might need 3-in-1 machine. Do you get the point I'm making here? You might need a 3-in-1 machine, and that is complex. Do we understand complexity here? The second one, it needs careful planning and coordination if the method is to be successful. Because it involves producing units at a time, it means you have to organize your factors of production structurally. If not, you would not be successful. Unlike job production, hello, you have to be here. Unlike job production, which you know the specification. Here, there's no specification. You have to produce for large numbers of customers. And that means you have to be arranged and organized in terms of getting your resources, in terms of putting those resources together. Do we understand the second point here, please? The third one, workers may be demotivated due to repetitive work as a result of specialization. You know, we said it's the use of specialist workers. When you continue to do the same thing over and over, you could get bored about it. When you repeat the same task every now and then, it could bring about boredom. And as a result of that, you might become demotivated. And another point is, with the use of machines might simply replace workers. So workers' morale might drop because they know they could be easily replaced with machines. Do we understand? Stop writing, please. Do we get the point, please? The next one, if batches are small, cost may still be high. We said there's always going to be lower unit cost here. But if we are expecting to get 1,000 orders for black markers and we only got 100, we're still going to produce 100, yes or no? But our unit cost will not be able to be cut across them. So we're still going to have a high cost of production. Do we understand? We're thinking about batch production because we want to start operating on a larger scale. But if the demand we get are always lower, then it means we're still going to be incurring a higher cost. Do we understand? And the last one, money may be tied up in work in progress. What is work in progress? Almost getting the job done. So it's about to get to the finished product. But we still need to put the cover to the marker. This is still work in progress. Until this is being placed here, then we can sell. So because we are producing through batch production, it means we need a lot of raw materials available. So if the materials are not available, we won't be able to produce. So which means our asset of inventory would be more, then our asset of cash will be less. Get the point here? Because we continue to buy raw materials based on the fact that we're operating on a larger scale, means we'll spend more on inventory. And because we are spending more on inventory, our asset of cash would always reduce. We have cash and we have inventory. We use cash to purchase inventory, yes or no? So if we continue to use cash to purchase inventory, our cash will continue to reduce, our inventory will continue to rise. So that means our money is stored on inventory, and that would affect our cash flow. Inventory, your raw material stocks, what you sell. So you use cash to buy them, yes or no? So if you continue to buy raw materials because you want to produce, what happens to your cash? Your cash starts reducing. So if your cash starts reducing, it might affect your cash flow. And if it affects your cash flow, then there's a business failure. Because one of the reasons we have business failure is because of cash flow. Is it clear? Any question about batch production? Thank you.